A few days later, Drew and his mother, Catherine, received a visit from Jake Blanchard. He had attended the funeral, but was silent through its entirety. Catherine invited him in and offered an iced tea. The raw emotions of the week were still evident as the odd trio sat in the living room in silence. Jake held his glass in both hands, either to keep it from falling or to give his hand something to do while he worked up the courage to speak. How ironic that a Special Forces soldier of Jake's caliber, with years of combat training and experience, could be reduced to a hesitant, irresolute man struggling to say a few meaningful words. Drew had seen his mother have this effect on other men, for she was a beautiful woman, the kind of pretty that could not be diminished with dirt, sweat, or sorrow. In fact, the worse the condition, the more resolute her beauty shone through in defiance. Her dark brown hair usually fell loose across the right side of her olive-toned face. Deep blue eyes, framed by high brows and accentuated cheekbones, captured the gaze of both men and women. Drew remembered how he'd blush when his dad talked about how beautiful she was. But he was right. As Drew looked across the room at Jake, he realized that his mother's beauty was not what was causing the man's unsettled beginning. Jake finally set the sweating glass of tea on the coffee table before him. "Ma'am, I'm not very good with words, but I do have a few I need to speak." Jake dropped his gaze to the untouched tea and the ice still circling to find a resting place. His left hand massaged his right as he continued. He glanced at Drew and then back at Catherine. "Ryan and I were on a lot of missions together. We became good friends. In fact, he was the best friend I ever had." He stopped and swallowed hard. Catherine teared up.
"He wrote of you, Jake."
She spoke with a sweet compassion.
"I know Ryan considered you the same."
"What I'm sure he didn't tell you was that he saved my life in Iraq. I owe him everything." Catherine dabbed her eyes with the Kleenex. Jake reached into his shirt pocket and removed a folded piece of paper. "I'm sure he would have wanted you to have this. It was a letter he was writing as we got called on our last duty together. He gave it to me just before." Drew's mother gasped, and tears streamed down her face. Jake leaned across to her, and she took the letter as though it was as precious as gold. She looked at Jake and mouthed the words, "Thank you." Jake turned to Drew. "And this is for you." He held out his father's Army Special Forces pin and green beret. "I know he would have wanted you to have these. He was very proud of you." Drew held the pin in one hand and the beret in the other. Despite all the pain that came flooding back, these things helped. They were one more connection to his dad. Drew sniffed. "Thank you, sir." Jake smiled through wet eyes and nodded. He took a deep breath, as if to prep for a mission. "I don't mean to make this difficult, ma'am, but I need you to know one more thing before I leave. I was with Ryan at the end, and he asked me to make sure that you and Drew were taken care of."
"You've done that for us today. We will be all right."
Jake shook his head. "I promised him, ma'am, and I intend on keeping that promise." He leaned forward and handed Catherine another paper. "This is my address and phone number. I'll be stationed here in Fort Bragg for the next 6 months. No matter where you are, if you need anything, call me, and I will be there for you and your son." Catherine took the paper.
"Thank you. That means a lot, Jake."
He nodded, then stood up. Drew walked with his mother to the door to see Jake out. On the porch, Jake turned. "It was an honor to serve with your husband, ma'am. He was one of those rare men of honor and integrity." Jake put a hand on Drew's shoulder. "He could be very proud of your father." He looked as if he wanted to say something else, but instead turned and left. When the door closed, Drew and his mother retreated to their rooms to spend time with their new treasures. Later, Drew's mother read the letter to him. One part stated that Drew's dad had some exciting news to share, but that it was too important to share in a letter. He wanted to tell them in person. Whatever it was news that was lost forever. Worse than that was how the letter ended. "Please tell Drew that I miss him, and that was it."